Hello beautiful souls, welcome back to Ladybug Farm. I'm just gonna give you a heads up that some of the video footage, I'm gonna travel back in time, can be a little bit disturbing. Our goats got poisoned by something. They spent their first day in the forest. So mamas and babies went out into the forest, and the two youngest babies that are only a month old had some neurological damage. So we don't know what it was. I think that it was black cherry. We have removed the trees, but there's still a lot of growth coming back in from the spring. So I talked to the vet, and unless we do a blood test, not gonna really know, just kind of by walking the forest. And we're going to do what we can, because the next step would be hospitalization for these guys. So I'm gonna take you backwards in time and just show you kind of what we did here for these two guys. There's a little bit of slight foaming at the mouth. Oh, he's throwing up right now. Oh. Yeah, stir it up with the drench.
Here you go.
Okay.
The end or the front?
The end. Perfect. I know. Okay. Okay, we're coming to you next, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Oh, my God.
Each attention.
Oh, God. This is the not so fun part. I heard a strange noise, a very loud, high-pitched noise coming from the goats, so I knew something was going on, almost like they're hurt. And Founder was kind of laying on his side and on his back, unable to walk in the middle of the forest. And Oak was up against the house with his head cranked backwards, laying down. They obviously got into something that they shouldn't have. None of the other goats are affected, but because they are so young, these guys, their rumen isn't developed yet, and they're pretty much still drinking their mama's milk, so just a little bit of something is gonna harm them. So I'm gonna bring you guys out into the forest. I have not fed our pigs yet. So while the pigs are eating their food, they got some milk, some of that leftover milk. Oh, baby. Because I just grabbed the milk we had in the fridge and I didn't weigh it out. So they're getting a bunch of that. But this is the forest pasture where the goats were. That right there is actually pumpkin. We had the pigs again in here over the fall when we fed them pumpkins. And they pooped it out and planted their own garden. But for some reason, the goats didn't eat the pumpkins, but they ate something that was toxic to them. But these trees, you can see all these stumps. We cleared them out last year. But at the base of these stumps, this was all the growth happening from spring. So they cleared it out and they ate something that they shouldn't have. I don't know what, but they ate something toxic. You can hear the whippoorwills in the background, and you can hear Oreo. She's really distressed because I moved all the mamas except for her. So here's the little guy I honestly didn't think would make it. He's doing pretty darn good. But now Bounder's acting worse. So I'm gonna give him a drench of some more milk. Got my headlamp on, and it's just a waiting game from here. See how big her udders are getting. Okay, y'all. Oreo's pretty distressed. She kind of wants to go out into the forest with her ladies and have her mama's party at night. Goats really like routine, so I'm hoping though that leaving her in here, these babies will get better and start nursing. Had to physically bring them in under the shelter. There's a chance we might get some rain tonight, so we're gonna hope for the best. And hopefully they can work through this, get it out of their system. Good morning, beautiful souls. They made it through the night. There's a goat on my back. I came out and checked on them this morning. Come on, Poppy. They are not in the clear yet. They're better than they were when we found them last night. But their teeth are still, Poppy! Their teeth are still grinding, foaming at the mouth. So I had to set up the forest classroom for school today, and now we're gonna take care of them. I'm gonna have to milk the mama out because I can tell they haven't ate, and I'm gonna give them some vitamin B. And I'm not a vet, but this is just what I think I can do to help. So we'll give it a try. I left Oreo with her babies last night, hoping that if they got better, that they would get some milk from their mama. But they did not. She's still pretty swollen today, so I am milking her out to keep her supply up and to also help Oreo feel comfortable. And hopefully these boys will start nursing within the next couple hours. Hey, buddy. All that dirt is actually vomit that they've been throwing up. There's some vitamin B for them to help them out just a little bit. It's not gonna hurt. Bud, let's get your brother. Well, the good thing is that Bounder's out here. He's checking out my vet bag and he's ready. Walking around, that's really, really good. He still has some foam in his mouth and is grinding his teeth though.
Good. That was so good. He got up from there and moved over here.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I saw him this morning.
It's about 2 o'clock. We just finished up nature school and to walk in on the boys getting milk from their mamas. This is fantastic. It's been a week. We're trying out the forest again. We just cut down this pine tree, and you can see that oak and bounder are doing amazing. You would have never guessed they looked like this a week ago.
Stop it. Stop pulling so I can see. Hey, you're pulling.
I am back in our forest classroom area, and again we have the goats out free ranging. Hopefully, if there's any random poison oak out here, they are munching on that. But it has honestly been a couple months since I edited all these videos. I just needed to take a pause from that happening. And I just want to stress that I am not a vet. I just simply did the best I could to avoid my babies from having to go to the hospital. And this happened before, so that's why I felt comfortable filming the video. It's happened before, and what we did in the past has worked because I think it was the same exact plant issue. So I followed the same procedures that I did in the past, and just by luck, everything turned out really well. And now those boys are happily grown up, and they have actually moved on to another farm. So you notice that I gave vitamin B injections, and that was simply just to speed up the detoxification process. I also gave a drench, and sometimes that's a little hard because if it goes down the wrong tube or if it just simply doesn't go down correctly, it can cause some suffocation and make it a little worse. But again, I did what I could and in trying to help. We also gave charcoal, you saw, via that drench. The pills were just charcoal, activated charcoal pills we picked up at Walgreens, and we opened the pills up and mixed them up in a drench. And it was honestly a little bit too late for the charcoal because the toxin was already manifesting in their bodies. But my hopes were that if there was still some toxins from the plants that hadn't gone into their system yet, that charcoal would absorb those toxins before it was vomited or digested. So that's why we did the charcoal. And in terms of goats eating poisonous plants, they are browsers. Goats are going to ignore the poisonous plants most of the time if they have a wide variety to choose from. They might nibble on the poisonous plants and then choose something else, but for the most part, they are going to ignore that in their browse. That is why you saw that the adults weren't affected, but the babies were. The babies didn't have their rumens developed yet. They didn't quite know better, so even the littlest, tiniest amount of the bad food would have had an impact on them. There is a tremendous range of plants that really give rise to a variety of symptoms. So what I have on the farm here's some things that I need to look out for. I have kale. So excessive quantities of the kale can damage red blood cells, and they can show symptoms if they have blood in their urine. Also, oak leaf. So an excess of the oak leaf is going to lead to anemia, and it can also damage the bone marrow. However, I do give it to my goats in moderation because it's generally harmless. Fruit leaf poisoning, the leaves of the prunus family, they have cyanogenic glycosides. So with fresh, it's pretty much harmless. But again, when those leaves are dried, it can contain cyanide in them. So fruit leaves, our peaches, we tend to avoid giving those to our goats. Our plums, we tend to avoid giving those to our goats if we are pruning. Also, cherry, as I just mentioned, black cherry, elderberry, and I have a list. I'm going to read right off my list of some other things that we have. We have bracken fern, buttercup, common milkweed, lantana, pokeweed, azalea, poppy, potato, red maple. All those things are poisonous for the goats to eat, and they're going to manifest symptoms a little bit differently in the goats depending on how much they eat or just depending on their browse. Poison oak, however, that's a little bit different. Poison oak can have a reaction for us on our skin, but that's actually full of protein for the goats, and that's the main reason we got goats, was to eat the poison oak back in the forest. So I hope that helps. Again, I am not a vet, but I just wanted to share some experiences that happened here on the farm, and maybe that can help you. Hopefully you don't have these issues, but it can help you be prepared for the future with your herd. Have a beautiful day.